Hi, everybody. I'm coming on a little bit on time today. Trying hard. 1,304 days and working on the presentation. I'm going to change up the presentation a little bit because I need to really learn how to do all these screens to show the evidence because we have the evidence. I need to show the evidence. And I continued this live stream by naming it the Ghost Christopher Grant, Ernest Christopher Grant. He's a very important piece of the puzzle between the August 3rd, which is Dallas Hart's birthday, 2019 Walmart mass shooting, and of course, Richard's disappearance, forced disappearance, and murder. So we're at 3.5 years. We were asked to become our son's investigator. Uh, Now we know why. Because Marlon Soto, who's a dirty agent Marlon Soto, has conflicts of interest with dirty agent uh, Jesus Eddie Nieto. They have conflicts of interest and they are from that area in El Paso. They're from there. I know Marlon Soto Hernandez. That's it. He kept telling me my name is Marlon Soto Hernandez or Marlon Soto Hernandez, whatever. Um, I heard it from his mouth. It's on record. And he has conflicts of interest with Nieto, and looks like his wife, seems like it, even has conflicts of interest with Bradford Bugado, the lieutenant colonel in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM. They're just a mess. It's just a mess. And when you add uh, Christopher Grant in the mix with all the others, with Tavita Nusa, with Lilani Hart, with James Hart in the Veterans Affairs there. It really is, it's the betrayal of the United States over and over again. I don't know how these people live with themselves because they just are totally unhinged in using our system for personal gain, not for the well being of our country, not for the justice of our country. Matter of fact, I just put together a meme with John Briggs because um, in that office, it is also, which is a district attorney's office, something we all need to learn. I think uh, Fani Willis's case in Fulton County, Georgia, has helped us put together why this is all important. Because if we have a dirty supervisory agent in our local FBI with dirty CID agents on Fort Bliss on our military installation, um, dirty police officer in the El Paso Police Department, and then dirty lawyers in the district attorney's office and the attorney general's office for the Western District of Texas. This is really important to understand because people were asking, how could this be? How could they do it? Well, I'm telling you how they're doing it. Because when the Walmart case incident happened on August 3rd, 2019, District Attorney was Jaime Esparza. Jaime Esparza right now is the Attorney General. He came out of his retirement to be Attorney General for that western area of Texas. Why? Because he's compromised and he couldn't even take over the Walmart case because he had gone there. His sister was there and he walked through the crime scene, which is tampering with the crime scene. And it's really shocking when you get these open records and you are putting the pieces together, and you're seeing, uh, you know, the that our taxpayers' money is being so wasted on these incompetent criminals. They are absolute criminals. And they've betrayed us to serve foreign and domestic enemies. And that domestic enemy might just be themselves. They just have to look in the mirror just to enrich themselves. So Jaime Esparza was there. He retired. He was the district attorney. He retired. Yvonne Rosales had an upset election victory. Nobody thought that she was going to win. We've heard that before in 2016 where they didn't think the system, the deep state didn't think that Donald Trump would win the election, and he did. And this is what happened in El Paso. Yvonne Rosales, they didn't think she was going to win, and she did. And, being the first woman Hispanic on top of that, to get into the office, she um, try to do what her job is. Um, was she perfect? No. Was she strong enough to withhold the enemy attacks? No, it doesn't seem like she was. But I know for sure through the paperwork that she was trying to do the job, probably for the first time in many decades that job was being done. And what is that job? To identify crime, to take those cases, those criminal cases, and document it by calling all of the agencies and saying, what did you find out, El Paso Police Department? Let's have all the evidence. Let's have the CPS complaints. Let's have the DEA reports. Let's have the Custom Border reports. Let's put it all together and let's prosecute these criminals, right? So that we don't have drug problems, so that we don't have criminal enterprises with weapons smuggling and human trafficking and child pornography. So that is, thank you so much, Michaela. Thank you. I see the video says murdered. This breaks my heart. Did you get confirmation of that? Good evening. Yes, we have confirmation of that. We have confirmation that the FBI agent is dirty. We have confirmation that CID agent Soto is dirty. We have confirmation that Tavita Nusa is dirty and having an adulterous sex acts with Leilani Hart, our son's platoon leader's mother, right? These are all confirmations. And now today, to talk about the district attorney's office that is allowing this to happen, and also the command structure on Fort Bliss allowing it to happen. And Veronica Escobar, where is she? Because we have a soldier that demands a congressional hearing. And where is she? Right? There are certain people in certain deep state positions that have made millions and billions off of the American taxpayers that do not want this case to go forward, because this case exposes the dereliction of duty and the abuse of power in these agencies, and it could just close down Fort Bliss. It could close down Fort Bliss because of the generals involved in our son's case, knowingly involved in the covering up of his murder. And we believe even two of the generals actively were had knowledge that it was going to happen, that the code red was going to happen, that Richard was going to be murdered, or soon after they knew that he was murdered, very soon after, like within hours, um, maybe even sooner than that. Okay, because Richard had pulled on a string of a criminal enterprise that is worth millions and billions of dollars. We're talking about weapons smuggling. We're talking about ammunition smuggling. We're talking about um, human trafficking and narcotics trafficking and pedophilia, pornography, child pornography, which is child torture. Um, Lots of embezzlement. Lots of embezzlement. That's where 3905 and 3705 Bliss Avenue play a huge part. So many people claimed that as residents. Um, there's a lot of property finagling. This is where Donna Sifford, um, we have evidence with Donna Sifford connecting with those people of 3905 Bliss Avenue, 3705 Bliss Avenue. And of course, Dreams Cabaret. Dreams Cabaret, it's a nightclub, but they use this nightclub for a lot of drug trafficking, um, activity, business organization, and things like that, and also human trafficking through there. And it is notorious for that. And to have Leilani Hart get receive her mail there, okay, Leilani Hart, who was having an adulterous sex acts. I don't even want to say any kind of emotion there. It was just sex acts, and and it's adulterous because she's married, and because Tavita News is married, and because of the others that she was having affairs with, they're also married. Okay, and so let's not say affairs, adulterous sex acts, and these people were in key positions, from command structure to um, law enforcement leaders, and of course to her husband, that is controlling the IDES Pueblo, which is the Veterans Affairs Benefits Board, right? Health Board. Um, so that is a really very important position because you have access to everybody's files. You can steal identities very easily. You can also manipulate the files or even coach, which Leilani Hart said that her husband was doing, coaching certain individuals in order to get, extra benefits. Uh, that is a control method. You can get up to over $5,000, if you're coached properly to get the VA benefits. $5,000 a month, a little over $5,000 a month. People will absolutely sell their soul for that bowl of porridge, right? That's a pretty nice bowl of porridge, and they'll sell their soul for it. And so, that is a very important position. The DES, Thomas Kane, is a very important position, with connections with Ann Ogle in the CYS, which is oversees all of those minors in the emergency intake center, and Leilani Hart was absolutely connected with them, and through Park University too. And don't forget, it's not 100 people, 100 children that are missing. It's not 1,000 children that are missing. It's not 10,000 that are missing. It's not 20,000. It's not 30,000. It's not 40,000. It's not even 50,000. It's not even 60,000 or 70,000. It's not even 80,000. You're talking about more. Over 85,000 unaccounted for minors in a very short time, 2001 and 2002, 2021 and 2022, excuse me. We don't even have the numbers for 2023. And we did hear that it was outrageous, just huge numbers. And we know that Mario Rascon Ortiz, the medical examiner, is also connected to 3905 Bliss Avenue. He's not even an American citizen. He's making almost $500,000. That's $500,000 as the chief medical examiner for El Paso. And we know that he's just not up to no good. Um, so we have uh, 85,000 unaccounted for minors, and we have this human trafficking and human organ harvesting and all of that. And we have a questionable medical examiner with Tavita Nusa, who has surgical experience, and his brother is part of mortuary affairs. And we had at the beginning of this, we were bullied and bullied by mortuary affairs. Why? Did they sell off Richard's body organs? I mean, this is the horrendous questions that an investigator has to ask. And we have been made Richard's investigators, and this is the position they have put us in, to have to ask these horrendous questions and put letters in and make all these connections, because right now we're hearing that on the border, especially on the Mexico side, that people are being found dead with their organs gone, because of this kind of level of crime that's being allowed to happen. And on the El Paso side, it's because we have prosecutors that don't want to prosecute. They just want to have a little party, making money. More crime, the more money they make. They can ask for millions and millions of dollars from the El Paso taxpayers. And that's why in El Paso, being a border city, your property taxes are so high, which makes your rent go up if you're just a renter. But the property taxes are really high, one of the highest in the countries, if not the highest in the country. Maybe Scottsdale is a little higher. But this is why right after the August 3rd, 2019 Walmart mass shooting, a bond was put up for vote. It had been up for vote, and the El Pasoans denied it. They said they didn't need a $1 billion bond to build a new El Paso police station. They didn't need it. But after the mass murder, they put it out again for a lesser amount. I believe it was 800 million. 800 million. This is not 1 million. This is not 10 million. This is not 20 million. This is not even 100 million. This is not even 400 million. This is not even 600 million. This is $800 million. No way. That is outrageous. Outrageous. And it passed. And the El Pasoans really are being raped. They're being screwed because someone is pocketing that money. Because no way, if you've built anything, uh, especially in El Paso, um, it does not cost you $800 million. It's outrageous, absolutely outrageous. It's an ancient city. Foundations are everywhere. That's why Fort Bliss is there. The foundations are everywhere. Go on Google Earth and look. Go on Google Earth and look. The graves are really laid in El Paso. So to build anything, it doesn't cost that much money. And to tell the El Pasoans that they have to fork up $800 million, $800 million is just really highway robbery, and it's extortion. It's just robbery of the El Pasoans, and this all on top of that the El Paso Police Department didn't do their job. You know, the leadership is so bad. And what do I mean by that? Okay, I will explain myself. Cris Grant was an absolute media sweetheart. You do not get on the media unless the media want you there, okay? They can ban you so fast, or they can lift you up um, very, very quick also. And they chose to lift and forward everything that Ernest Chris Grant was saying. And this is really important to understand because his message was so vile, was so racist, was so vulgar, and it had no basis. It was unreliable. Everything he said about the inside of that Walmart that day with Patrick Crucius is unreliable. And El Paso Police Department said so. They said so because Ernest Grant, Christopher Grant, has a long criminal record, very long, dozens of incidences, and severe, violent crime. And, so everything that he says is unreliable. And if that's not enough, okay, the El Paso Police Department came out multiple times and said that the CCTV footage did not show what Christopher Grant said. And the messaging that the media was hypnotizing the people of El Paso and the world, okay, because this news traveled around the world, was so vile and vulgar and hateful and gave such a false witness testimony to uh, the Walmart case. Um, so divisive. And I don't even like to repeat it, and I won't repeat it. You can read it, it's out there in numerous, numerous articles because Christopher Grant was a media darling. They just love him. They just ate him up, and they just regurgitated everything he said, and it was disgusting. And there's others too, like Donna Sifford. Okay, she didn't say much, um, but I have, some real suspicions with her. So, looking into her, number one, she's Customs and Border Protector, and she didn't have her sidearm with her. That's crazy. And now she's suing Walmart for what? For what? She wasn't injured. Oh, because of mental anguish or whatever. Wait a minute. She's a trained law enforcer. She's trained. So, I have some real, and her connections, her conflicts of interest um, are, let's just say, when you learn what's happening behind the scenes, it is so opposite of the narrative that is given, because the narrative was not of that Patrick Crucius was used, was led around because he's autistic. Of course, he was led around in this group, in this criminal group. He was taken advantage of in this criminal group. And, of course he was. And his father was writing a book on mind control, right? On, um, yeah, I think it was mind control. And so, absolutely, when you're autistic, you're being led around, and the judge backs up what we found out uh, with the statement that Patrick Crucius has a severe mental health condition. So, why was Christopher Grant's vile, vulgar messaging just repeated over and over and over again? And also very political, because they were saying that Patrick Crucius was a Trumper, that he was a Trumper, and maybe he was a Trumper, and that he was MAGA and he was white supremacist. Yet he denied that in the court, and his actions even denied it, because when he he surrendered himself to a Hispanic, an American Hispanic police officer. Now, that is not the action of someone that just, went in to murder as many Hispanics as he possibly could, but then go to surrender to a Hispanic person. I mean, that is, the narrative doesn't fit. The narrative doesn't fit. Um, it's as simple as that. Know where you look. Yet they were making it political, and they were making it divisive to the community there, and they let murderers walk. Murderers are walking around because of what the media did, and the police department not telling the people, making an announcement that Christopher Grant has an outstanding warrant for his arrest, that he is a perpetual criminal, hardened criminal, and that he cannot be trusted, and nothing that he says fits with what happened in there, and that he has conflicts of interest, even in the Walmart case, and of course in our son's case. Even in our son's case, you see, because Richard's case came first. Richard was pulling on the string of this criminal enterprise by reporting their actions, because they're intertwined with Fort Bliss. They're intertwined with Richard's platoon leader, which is Dallas Hart, and more, and more. Because why was Dallas Hart even there? Why was he even there? Why wasn't he somewhere else? Right? I mean, he just grows up there and he just gets to be stationed there. And who do they know in HRC, Human Resources? Who do they know to get all of these people like Marlon Soto, like James Hart, like Dallas Hart, like Tavita Nusa? They get all stationed together, like Nieto, right? Nieto is from that area. And this is where, the criminal uh, enterprise, just had to have their people in there. And that's what happened with Yvonne Rosales. She wasn't one of their people. It was simple as that. When you read the open records and you see what they did to her, what they did to Curtis Cox, which was the assistant district attorney, um, after they fired John Briggs, who is really the one running that office. Okay, he's really the one running that office. So when he got fired, they really got together and did everything they could uh, to unseat Yvonne Rosales with the petition. Omar Carmona put in the petition at the clerk's office and, to have her unseated. These are all people that are suspect, including Judge Madrano, who's sitting for Patrick Crusius's case. He's absolutely suspect because his actions, and maybe with all of this going on with Fani Willis, with what's going on in that absolutely insane court up in New York, maybe that will have an effect on El Paso, because El Pasos don't want injustice in their courts. They don't want it. It makes life so miserable to have crime all around you all the time, to fear for your children's life, for the rapes, for the drugs, for the um, child pornography, child trafficking, the kidnapping, you name it. It makes your life so scary to have all this crime all around you. So, there is a price when you know someone and they've committed a terrible crime. It's sometimes you want to bail them out. I understand that. But no, um, justice comes first and not politics. Justice comes first. And this is what was so concerning about our son's case, is they were, smearing him, saying all these horrible things about him. They still are. We've debunked it. Um, but they were saying all these terrible things. And we're like, okay, then that should make you want to find him more, right? You don't want criminals walking the street. Um, murderers walking the street from the Walmart case. And, then to come to find out, Richard is a yellow Interpol. And I'm like, okay, so that doesn't fit, because if he was what they said, he would be a red Interpol, but he's not. He's a yellow Interpol, and then they tampered with his Interpol picture, so they don't even really want to find him, right? Because they've tampered with his picture. So um, we went to the federal FBI crime bank, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And then we found out that the DUI was a setup. We've been told that it was Belen Rocha that called the 911, that she's the one that got Richard to drive to that location. And then, when he was waiting out in the car because he didn't want to go in there, she called 911, and seemingly a family member, Jesus Melendez, a canine cop, was waiting for a call or something, because he's the one that came. He's the one that arrested Richard for the DUI. And there was so many discrepancies with that, because Richard was fine. That on July 9th, before he went missing, Judge Almatrejo exonerated him. And then when we got there and we, okay, so we're ignorant in all of that, but we pay millions of dollars to have people in positions like the JAG, like the generals, to take care of our service members, to take care of our volunteer sons and daughters, and when something like this happens, to take care of the family members. We pay for all of that. And they betrayed us because when we walked in there, they kept on telling us, we take underage drinking seriously, we take underage drinking seriously. And Richard already had been long exonerated, and there was nothing there. Nothing. Now, I'm willing to accept anything that's there. I accepted it at that point because I thought it was there. But I was like, but wait a minute, where is the breathalyzer? Where is the video? Where is the report? Where is, you know, um in as far as the military goes? And it wasn't there because he had been exonerated. But yet they continued to do the Phil grade Article 15 on him and use that even though they had nothing to back it up. A Phil grade, not a company grade, a Phil grade. That was Roddick. Roddick is so dirty in this, and I don't mention his name very often, but it will come up again. Michael Roddick, don't forget that name. So, back to Chris Grant. I think it's very, very important for everyone to know he's a big player in this because he's absolutely connected to the Walmart case, and false testimony, unreliable, up to no good, major criminal, and he's absolutely connected to Richard's case. We have proof, and I believe through a screenshot that I have that he even communicated with us at the time to divert our attention to finding out what happened to Richard and the crimes that were going on there. So, and absolutely connected to Leilani Hart, absolutely connected to Tavita Nusa and Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and others that I think you're going to be surprised, maybe not surprised, that we know that he's connected to, like with the whole Donna Sifford and where all that leads back to 3905 Bliss Avenue. So, you know, as soon as I figure out how to really share my screen well so you can see it, I will absolutely share the evidence that I'm allowed to share. I think that is very, very important. And the audio, because remember, we have audio, we have lots of audio and a lot of screenshots. So I think that is, no, I'm so sorry, Miss Halliday. I know. Um, this has been, just total nightmare. Um, but when I watched Asia Graham, and of course I've watched so much of Richard and Rob even found me this from 2005 today and gave it to me. Let me see if I can put it up there. Yeah, there it is. There's us. Richard is with the ice cream, and that's Robert, and that's in Poland. We took him on, that's in a horse carriage. Let's see if I can get the horse. Yeah. And we took him on a ride through old Warsaw, the historic part of Warsaw, and it was amazing. And Richard loved lotte. He loved lotte, which is the Polish word for ice cream. And so Robert didn't care for it, but Richard loved it, and so we had his ice cream there. Um, yeah, this has been a total nightmare. And as you can see here, we're just so happy. We're just so happy. Let's see if I get that. Yeah. Richard had those glasses, but then he broke them, and then we got him new ones, and then he broke them. And then, it was like, he, maybe he doesn't even need them because he fiddles with them, and then he ended up not even needing them. So, anyway, um, yeah, just memories, lots of memories. And we're going to get justice for him. And we want justice for Asia Graham. And we want justice for Glendon Oakley Jr. That's so heartbreaking. And so many of our service members. And we want El Pasoans to be freed from all of these unnecessary taxes. This, um, you know, they're just playing the people there. They're just absolutely robbing them. They're just a band of thieves. And that's such a beautiful city. Of course, I love that city, El Paso. I love White Sands. I was born there. I went to school in El Paso. I went to elementary school on Fort Bliss. I went to MacArthur Elementary School. I went to Bassett. Um, I swam with the sand sharks at the replica pool when it was this huge outdoor pool. I know that area and I love that city. I I just can't tell you how heartbreaking this is to know that they orchestrated, they absolutely planned and orchestrated a mass shooting to divert the attention from what Richard was reporting, to extort the El Pasoans for an way overpriced, way, 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 way overpriced $800 million police station. Come on. That is just enormous amount of money. No way. I think 100 million would have been too much, but they want 800 million from the El Pasoans, and also to interfere in the politics by spreading the vile and vulgar racist remarks. And I think that they play us with all this racism and stoke racism as much as they can because they make a lot of money off of it, because they make a lot of money off of they make a lot of money off of, and that's what they are doing. They are stoking hate and crime, and John Briggs is doing that. He's doing that in the DA office, and of course, Fawny Willis doing that in Fulton County, and you see what's going on in New York, taking somebody that didn't hurt anybody. Not one person was hurt. Matter of fact, all the money. And I wanna stump a little bit for Trump right now. Something that I learned in homeschooling and in 2015, because when he came down, I'm a Ron Paul person, which makes me kind of neutral. Um, but I'm not neutral. I'm very conservative. I'm all about the family. I'm all about God. What can I do today to glorify God? I'm all about that. Ask anybody. So, but I'm Ron Paul because of the monies. our government has just become thieves, and Ron Paul wanted to audit the Federal Reserve Bank, which is just a big thief. They're just thieves. Um, they're the one reasons why we have so much war, which is hate mongering, racist mongering, whatever, right? Anything, any way to create war, they'll do it because they make so much money off of war. Through bonds, through bonds, of course, to pay for the war. Robbing our future, and so very big Ron Paul supporter, and learning from Ron Paul and some Mises economists, the Mises organization. Ludwig von Mises is the Austrian school, not Austrian, the country. It's just called Austrian School of Economics, just like you have the Chicago School or the Keynesian School. You have these schools of thought of how we should run our money, right? Some people like debt, some people don't like debt. Well, the Mises don't like debt at all. And learning through that, uh, how the system works behind the scenes to enrich themselves, because we do not have a Mises Austrian school of monetary thought in our country. We have a debt oriented Keynesian um, school of thought uh, day to day. So, um, when Trump came down the escalator and he said he was going to build a wall and he's going to make Mexico pay for it, I didn't even think about the race issue at all. Um, and people will say, "See, you're short-sighted." No, no, I was shocked. I was so shocked because what ran through my mind was that, oh my gosh, he just announced to the world that we have a deficit with Mexico, that we have a deficit, that we owe Mexico big time. That's what he just did. And that means, why is it that the United States owes Mexico, right? That means we are putting our jobs over there, that we are closing down our factories over here, and, buying goods from factories in Mexico. That's what that meant to me. Now, that's good for Mexico, but it's not good for the United States. So, when he did that, of course, I went right to his financials. And I've posted up his financials from 2015 when I looked them up. Rob and I looked them up, and they were so amazing. Oh my gosh. And they went on and on and on and on. And you realize this man knows how to build. And he knows how to open up businesses and absolutely produce something. He's a producer instead of a taker and or a consumer, right? And so that means he is creating jobs. He's creating jobs all over the world. Of course, in New York, but one of the places that I was looking at was Scotland. Of course, Ireland, because we lived in Ireland. But Scotland, he took a very rundown area, a very rundown hotel and golf course called Turnberry, Scotland, and he rebuilt it. He rebuilt it, not his, it's his organization skills, his business mind, but it brought so many jobs. And this is in 2008. Uh, you know, uh, Ireland imploded. You couldn't get a job, right? And so to read what he had done at Turnberry was so exciting, how he created this just job friendly business. Um, and everybody wanted to come into that area to stay at his hotel and to play on those links. And that created a restaurant business and a service business, and which means a repair business, and which means, um, wealth for that area. Well, that area is very important. Turnberry is the birthplace of Robert the Bruce. Robert the Bruce. And I'm wondering, did President Trump buy Turnberry because he knew that that was the birthplace of Robert the Bruce? And if you don't know who Robert the Bruce is, he is the ancestor of Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee is the only really blue blood the Americans have ever had, the Lee family. And they are a direct descendant from Robert the Bruce. Matter of fact, Robert E. Lee is a direct descendant from a lot of blue bloods, and I even put that up. And I think this is really, really important for people to understand because in 2016, they started taking down, destroying anything of Robert E. Lee. Because elites know, the deep state knows who Robert E. Lee represents, that he represents the blue blood, the Robert the Bruce, um, okay, so let's talk about who Robert the Bruce is. Just really quickly, because this is really important. When you look up Robert the Bruce and his paintings of him, yeah, he kind of looks like Trump. He kind of looks like President Trump. He looks like President Trump would be his ancestor. And don't forget, President Trump's mother is from Scotland. But no, there's no connection there. But he does look like President Trump a little bit to me. But what is really amazing about Robert the Bruce, besides being the freedom fighter, and not a perfect man, remember, because I don't know if you like history like I do, but he betrayed his friend. He betrayed Braveheart, right? He betrayed William Wallace because he was trying to make a deal with the crown in England to save Scotland, and it backfired on him. And when he betrayed William Wallace, he was losing to the crown because the crown started knowing that because William Wallace was huge, y'all. He was way over 7 feet. He was a giant, and his sword was like 6 feet long. I mean, it's still in the museum there. It is, he was just the warrior. Okay, so with him, and he had all these faithful uh, soldiers that fought with him. So when he was absolutely, he was brutally put to death by the crown. Um, and the king warred against Robert the Bruce, and Robert the Bruce lost. He lost so many battles, and he had to go into hiding. And I'm going to get to the point. This is a little bit of a story, but I've got to get to this point because it's so important to what's happening today. And when Robert the Bruce was in hiding, he was hiding in a cave. Um, when you think about Scotland, you can absolutely picture it in your head with the seas and the wind and the way the weather is living in Ireland. I can absolutely even feel the wind, the chill in the wind, the ice in the wind. And so but there's a Gulf Stream, so it's a very different wind up there, and he was hiding in the cave, hiding for his life and praying, and he saw a spider in the cave with him. And the spider would weave their web, and the wind would tear it down. And the spider would weave the web again, and the wind would tear it down. And the spider would weave it again, and the wind tore it down. And it was 7 times like that. And Robert the Bruce said, "Okay, God, I have the message. I need to be like the spider. I need to, no matter how many times this king attacks me, I'm going to build the web. I'm going to free Scotland." And to this day, when you wear a kilt or the colors of Robert the Bruce, inside of it is embroidered a spider. Robert the Bruce is the original Spider-Man. And you can laugh at that, but he is. He's the original Spider-Man. Um, every kilt that is truly a Robert the Bruce kilt has a spider embroidered inside of it. And he came out fighting out of that cave, and he wouldn't stop, and he won Scotland their freedom. And so, that is a lesson that I've never forgotten. That it doesn't, I don't have the timing, um, but we know now more than we knew 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago what happened to Richard. They've attacked our family because they murdered our son. They didn't just murder our son, they brutally murdered our son. They didn't just brutally murder him, they retaliated against him continuously. And they attacked the El Paso people because of his whistleblowing. I absolutely believe that because it's the same people. How can the same people that are involved in the Walmart shooting be the same people that Richard was reporting? That is, just couldn't be a coincidence. That's what it is. Okay. And it is those, because Richard wanted to be in the CID, because he had the connection with law enforcement, he saw that they were a criminal enterprise and he reported on them. And those same people had nothing to lose because the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. They were in the arms room because of Halliday. They were counting weapons. They were investigating. And this is why so much effort has been put into covering his death up, because it's the same people that were so desperate that organized the mass shooting. It's because of whistleblowing that that they got desperate and they uh, carried out a mass shooting. And when you hear all the details about the mass shootings, about the victims, go look up the victims, go research the victims. It's very interesting. Okay, it tells a different story than what you have been led to believe. And of course, Cris Grant is someone totally different than what you were led to believe in the media, and so is Donna Sifford, and so is the El Paso Police Department. And don't forget that the chief of police also died in this. Um, so that is why they had to silence Richard. He, just a young man, just a young man. And so we're going to be like Spider-Man, right? We're going to be like a Robert the Bruce. And when I say Spider-Man, I'm not talking about the Marvel, whatever. I'm talking about not giving up. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And we're going to keep trying, and we're going to keep looking, and we're going to keep um, get, fighting for accountability to get the accountability. For the sake of El Pasoans, we can never let something like that happen ever again, that a whistleblower goes to the law enforcement agencies to report law enforcement agents and is brutally murdered. And before that, so desperate that they even murder El Pasoans because of it. Um, was Patrick Crucius part of this criminal cabal? Yes, he was. And he's going to serve 90 consecutive life sentences. That's like 8,000 years in the Alcatraz of the Rockies in Florence, Colorado, which is a huge, huge prison. And I bet you it didn't cost 800 million to build. Okay. Um, they might tell you something, but it's huge. And it is top security. So uh, that's my story for tonight. This is absolutely a criminal enterprise, and we are praying that you share, that you comment, that you like, uh, because it is the people that finally will see what's going on in the district attorney's office, in the attorney general's office, in the CID office, in the FBI office, with the Customs Border Protectors, with Homeland Security, with drugs, the DEA, right, with the ATF. It's getting those open records requests, looking into how they're spending our money. Uh, it is you that is going to oversee and demand the accountability and the change that needs to happen so that you don't get screwed, that we don't get screwed, that we don't um, lose our loved ones. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye.